Okay, hey, it's Dean. Just thought I'd come in and do a little demo video and go do a little bit of everything and try to do it pretty fast. Go through setting up a virtual shoot and electronic scoring all in one deal. So there's some new things that I just put in today. We'll kind of go through that. So start out by I'm logged into my Crowfoot administrator account. And of course, I've already selected this weekend's BVHO ad. So one thing that you can do is come in here, and I'm doing this in my test system so it doesn't mess anything up. But you can see that there's lines. I think I'm going to call them shooting times. But then you can create ones for whatever shooting times you want, because this is just a scheduling only. Uh, so the date and time is important in the fact that it will put in, the capacity, the number of lanes, etc., and it'll also sort in order of the line shoot times. So when you add a line, it gives you a little successful message, and of course, when you come back to tournament dashboard and you want to register for it, you can look at your own club, and just as I'm creating a fake line here, just so you can all see, if I come in and just select some random people, I'm going to do two groups of three. I'm just clicking, and I'm going to assign them to that new line that I put in right here, and run them all in. And then when you do that, it will put all those people on there. So just a few other things. That's going to update, move them on there. The other thing that I did just real quick is you can come in here and look at I put in the ability. It's still a little rough on how to add in club administrators. If you want to add a new one, it'll just give them they'll have to change your password the first time in, and also making primary club administrator. I also added a section for future use club devices. This is if you're going to have devices that you leave the club. Of course, electronic scoring works on personal devices as well. And then a list of any of the parent and Archer accounts that you have in your club. There's this one's qualifier. These were some of the temporary accounts that I created for the electronic scoring, but I'll get to see that in a minute. So if I come back to the tournament dashboard now, we're going to have a lot of people registered in that one line. So I had it set at 10. If I flip over and I look at that new fake line that I did, the one thing I'll hit the pause button is this, the assistant there, and I did just change it so it would accept lowercase as well. That's a little thing. So it's going to go and give you the 1A, 2A, 2B. So I'm going to pause and fill this out. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, so I just put in some line assignments and hit update. The real simple 1A, 2B. This is kind of how we're doing our virtual sheets. Now in order to create, I'm going to do real simple. I'm going to create two groups of three on the mobile scoring. So if you take any of them, they all say create a new session. What you're doing is creating a new session. Of course, you'd be grouping them by lines. But what it shows you is it shows you which kids, if they have their own accounts. Sometimes you have parent accounts and everything attached to it, but if they're already logged in, that's one way to do the mobile scoring, is just to select an account that's already in use. I don't have any of these logins, so what I'm going to do is you'll see Scott Best. I'm going to put these three in this session, and then I'll start another session for these other ones. So I have a session with lanes 1A, 2B, 3A in it. And then what I'm going to do in this case is I'm just going to create a temporary ID. There's different options. You can either select an archer that's in the line for the scoring. You can create a temporary, or you could just go off the board if you have if you're going to be doing it on your own, maybe a parent login or whoever. Just type in a user ID. But I'm going to do temporary. And then what you'll see up here is that you will get a QR code that you can scan on the phone to kick off the scoring session, or you can send it by email, which is what I'm going to do. But right now I'm going to pause and I'm going to get the other, I'm going to go back to lane assignments. Well, I can probably do it real quick. And I'm going to create a second one, just like I did first. When I create another temporary here, what it'll do is it will create a new session number. The number is slightly different. So those are temporary IDs. They only exist for the period of time when you're electronic scoring. So if I go back to this one, and it gives you a little color coding just to separate them. Still working on it quite a bit, but if I go to edit add, it's going to give me this back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a link to my email, and I have my phone sitting here. I'm going to try to do this. Is the first time I've tried this in a minute. So what I'm going to do is try to show you what happens. The same thing happens if you scan the QR code or whether you put it in by phone. So I'll pause there while the email comes. Okay, so as you can see, it sent me an email from the site. I'm just going to click into it, and I'm kind of looking at it backwards, so bear with me. You just hit the start scoring button and it will launch into it. One thing you can do is you can go to info and change. I have to turn it just for the ends for screen size. I go to L. There's different sizes available to fit your screen. So I'm just going to start. You see the highlight comes up yellow. Very good score there, 10, 10, 10, save and next. And it's going to cycle through them in the order that you had. Really easy. You're just clicking 3 buttons and then save. You can always click back, and it's going to show you the number of ends on that screen. So what I'm going to do is pause here. I'm going to put in a complete set of ends for this and show you what the end result is. Okay, it just took me just a few minutes there. I wanted to show you a few of the things here that happened. I'm just trying to keep the screen alive here while I show you. The running scores go down, and it does update that last end. I mean, if you do have to back up to previous end and you can go up the other ones, you can edit it, and then the running scores will update when you save it next. But right now I got it to the 20th end, and I'm just sitting here for a minute, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's going on from the club administrator point of view while this is happening. So if I look back at what you're looking at here with the club administrator, of course we went into here about the electronic scoring session. You also have the ability to bring up these scorecards. And for the club administrator, it's editable here. You can see that this one, we're currently on the last part of the 20th end, so it is just about ready to expire. If I come down here, I believe it's this one. It's still, yes, still has the 10th end in the second half ready to go. That is one thing. It does number these 11 through 20, so just to make sure that we don't intermingle 1 with 11, etc. on your end numbers. So this is something you can edit. There is some safety measures so that if this gets old sitting on your screen and someone's tapping away on the console, it just doesn't blow it away. Once the session is closed after the 20th end, I'll show you what happens there. Then there's, this is going to be the only way that you can do the arrow by arrow score. I will mention right now that the way we have been doing it in the system for, putting the half totals and the total scores will still work. It still works. You can use a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or all one way or the other. It's just whatever the last one way in will set the score. So if you do this and then you go in and you go on the regular score screen. In fact, let me show you that. Well, this is just a demo one, so it doesn't have that. But if you come in, and we were looking at that, if you did enter total scores in a real full tournament, it would show you those. You'd be able to overtype them in a total sense. But it's whichever one came last. If you're doing handing in score sheets, you can still do that. If you're doing electronic scoring, you can do it and commingle. It's just the ones that do electronic scoring are already going to be in your totals and everything. So with that, let me show you what happens when start the camera back on. And my dog. All right, so it gives you a little warning about being the last end. 10, 10, 10. So what you're going to get now, when this thing finishes up, it gives you a little message that your scoring is complete. At that point, you can't score anymore from the device. You hit OK. And what it's going to do while they're up at the bales is the last thing it does is it gives you everybody's scorecard. Kind of what we just looked at up there. And you can shrink. This isn't editable anymore. Their scoring session's kicked out. Yeah, but you'll see all 3 scores there. And I believe I updated the logo too in live. So that's really when it finishes the session. So when you come back to the admin session, you're going to see that happening when you view these scorecards. And the last thing I'll show you, because I went a little longer than I want, is if we're doing these virtual sheets and we have to print them out. And I did can't come in here and I did a couple of these just to show you. I think it was this one. Yeah, I just started entering scores here to do arrow by arrow score. But if you go back to that screen I was talking about, there is print all current scorecards. So here you will get the roll up. You right click and print. And when it comes up, you've got printable score sheets. Of course, you've got to portrait, etc., make all those little adjustments how it does. Okay, I'll stop it there. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, let me know.